LGBTQ. And you ain't gonna make me feel some type of way. Y'all not doing nothing for the hood. You got rainbows everywhere. Okay, so what? Where's the fucking pot of gold? Rainbow, okay, all these rainbows, where's the gold? Okay, you like to suck like you ain't put. You wanna wear dresses, a nigga? Cool. What institutions are you building in the hood? I went to a homosexual meeting and they was talking about the BLM shit, right? And I was the only straight man in the room of homosexuals, and I said, all right, cool. Why are we not talking about certain shit? Why are we not talking about building institutions? Why are we not talking about having our own supermarkets, our own hospitals, our own banks? Why are we not talking about our own country? Like, what are y'all? Why y'all keep talking about what you do in the bedroom? I get it. You like dick freaking, nigga. But what do your has to do with bullets leaving a cop gun hitting that black boy?
Number one, people really do think deeply about shallow shit and they drown their own understanding. It's a lot to unpackage in this video, ain't it? Number two, just so we all clear on what an institution is, it is defined as a society or organization founded for a religious, educational, social, or similar purpose. We don't need no goalpost moving. I don't think that man really know what an institution is. Number three, before we get back to the institutional talk, let's really put this in context. Last year, there was a record high number of anti-LGBTQ bills that was introduced in 2023, at least 510 of them. I wonder how would this impact the black folks in the hood that also identify as being LGBTQ? And this also shows y'all that this community does not have the power that y'all claim they have, because they did. They would have been able to push against all these damn bills being introduced. They would have had more money to pay the lobbyists, the interest groups, the bureaucracies to make it where these bills didn't even get introduced. Number four, us straight black men that identify with the gender we was assigned at birth is not the only ones being targeted by police. Here's a picture of Tony McDade, a black trans man that also had their life taken away at the hand of law enforcement. Number five, let's talk institutions. And his rainbow gold analogy was trash. T.S. Madison is a black trans woman that has founded her own organization around social and educational issues or purposes, which by definition makes it an institution. She's focusing on mental health resources and providing housing for black trans women, or what you call men in dresses. Very transphobic. We're going to get to that later on, though. Number six, we got more institutional examples. Since 2003, the National Black Justice Collective supports black individuals, families, and communities in strengthening bonds and bridging the gaps between the movements for racial justice and LGBTQ+/same gender love and equity. Damn, you said institutions didn't exist. Number seven, I'm sorry, y'all, but this is funny. I gotta say it like this. This man made this long rant about people caring too much about eating cat and not caring about building institutions in the same rant that he's talked about BLM, a organization that was founded on a educational and social purposes, by definition, make it an institution, and what they is, a bunch of lesbians. It's crazy, right? The meme, what I know is that the people that usually talk the most about this, they usually don't do no work or they don't know what's going on. It's usually both, though. Number eight, for everybody in the comment section that's going to say, man, BLM was a scammer. They ain't do much for the hood. The first thing I would say is you should always see a distinction between the organization, the BLM, and the movement, the BLM, because the movement, BLM, got all these policies throughout the country passed that deal with police reform and everything else, you know what I'm saying, from funding to education and a lot of different things that impact how we live in the hood. Now, how effective they was, I don't know, but does it negate they were an institution? No, it does not. Number nine, he had a few more points to make, so let's hear him, shall we?
Your tongue have to do with the fact that we don't have our own hospitals, we don't have our own corner stores, we don't have no fucking businesses. Why y'all keep talking about sex all the fucking time? Oh my God, just let me be me. Alright, so you suck nigga. Okay, we get it. How is you sucking dick affecting our community? Is there laws in place to tell you, don't put your dick in his ass? Well, I could walk down the block and lose my life for being black. Why are we not talking about that? I could walk down the block and literally lose my life for looking like this. And y'all talking about what dick sucking and what coochie you licking. And that's the argument? No, y'all trying to distract the fuck out of me. They say homophobic. I only fear God. Phobia means fear. I don't fear nothing but God. I'm not afraid because you like dick.
Number 10, do y'all know that gay marriage laws was passed not for people to be permissible in the bedroom, but for them to be able to benefit from the same type of socioeconomic benefits that we have when we're married, like Social Security, insurance, being able to see your loved one when they're in the hospital, things like that. Number 11, do y'all know that black trans women have some of the lowest life expectancy down south because people want to exterminate them literally on their presence, how they look? Crazy, right? Number 12, a lot of y'all love to say, man, I ain't phobic about nothing because I don't fear them, I ain't scared of them, not knowing that the suffix phobic is defined as having a fear for something or an aversion. Class, how is an aversion spelled? Or how is it the aversion defined? Is a strong dislike or disconnection of someone. So if somebody calls you homophobic and you have aversion, a strong dislike or disconnection towards this LGBT community, this means you're homophobic and you're thinking deeply about shallow shit and drowning in your own understanding, man. Education is elevation. Stop it. Lastly, what has he done for the hood? What has he done? What institutions has he built? How many churches and supermarkets has he done? When is he found in his country? Has he been able to achieve the standards that he set for this community, or he just talking out the side of his neck? What you think?
I was Black before I was born. So I have a problem with individuals who try to compare the plight of the Black community with the plight of the LGBTQ community.
I've seen a lot of queer people stitch this with a rebuttal, and their comments are always full of people telling them they missed her point. And I want y'all to know that it's not that we're missing the point, it's just that y'all don't have the range and neither does she. Now, there are a lot of white queer people who use their experiences with discrimination to undermine the issue of racism. I could see her point in that regard. And she did briefly touch on the intersectionality between Blackness and queerness at the end. But the very notion that Blackness and queerness should never be compared when they're often one and the same is where we have a problem. I don't give a fuck what this oppressive society sees me as or what my mama knew when I was born. I am not Black before I'm a woman or before I'm queer. I am everything at the same goddamn time. And separating Blackness and queerness makes a lot of Black folks comfortable with perpetuating oppression. One too many times have I been in Black spaces and we're in agreement when we talk about racism, but the very second I bring up homophobia, they morph into the enemy right before my very eyes. Some of you are directly complicit in the subjugation of Black queer people, and when we talk about how you're also doing the work of the oppressor, we're met with, stop comparing racism and homophobia. That way, y'all can rest your hat on that distinction without acknowledging that both racism and homophobia are sisters fathered by the same oppressive system. The very point she's making in that video is constantly used to argue that queerness is an invention of white people, therefore Black folks shouldn't bother trying to defend it. Even with gender, because she also mentioned being Black before being a woman. A lot of Black women embrace that idea, and then we wonder why our community is often protective of Black men who do horrible shit to Black women and girls. They want you to forget about your gender so that you're still inclined to protect these men based on race. Allowing motherfuckers to prioritize which parts of your identity they want to recognize first will always leave some part of you behind. Oh, and we're not born with the awareness that we're Black either. Race is a social construct that we become aware of, similar to gender or sexual orientation.
Remember, the first Pride was a ride pioneered by trans people of color. It was police brutality. Shout out to Hope Giselle for sharing this post with me.
So I have a hot take, and it's about the gay agenda, because I believe that there is specifically a gay agenda. It's just not what everyone says it is. I believe that the gay agenda is trying to make all gay people get passive swag from the coolest gay people, right? Like whenever you see like gay characters in TV and media, they're often like isolated in their environments or like awkward or uncomfortable. But from our point, from the viewpoint of the like viewer, right? They're stylish, they're cool, they're clever, they're witty, they're intelligent, they're smart. They're like meant to represent like the Audre Lordes and the James Baldwins who are just ahead of their time. What they're not showing you are the 36-year-old Harry Potter lesbians who keep striking out and are just like, I just wish I had somebody to cuddle with. What they're not showing you are the 27-year-old assistant church choir directors whose entire budget has gone towards creating the Guinness World Record book worth of bow ties. They are not showing you the incel trans gamers. I feel like that there's not like, it's not there. That's the gay agenda, all right? I don't get passive swag from Michael B. Jordan.
It's Black folks who hate trans people so much, they literally linking up with a whole white supremacist on the grounds of trans homonegativity. Let's talk about it. Trump vows to punish doctors and hospitals that provide gender-affirming care to transgender minors, and there's too many Black blog sites and too many Black folks, period, being like, man, I agree with Trump on this one, man, because, man, them transgender folks are not. How you supposed to be real and standing for the community, but you linking up with people against your community to be against people inside of your community. Because, you know, black trans people exist, right? And a lot of the folks they call themselves coming for me be the same exact people that'll link up with they ops in opposition to trans people inside of our community. Education is elevation, man.